Hello and welcome, Thrill Maxxers, to a brand new show. I know we're coming out with new shows all the time. This is going to be a new series. This is called Mid-Course Debate. What we're going to do is we're going to take two coasters and we're going to have a special guest on the show. And then we're going to debate which coaster is the best. Tonight, I want everyone to welcome our very own Thrill Maxxer, Rocco. How you doing tonight, Rocco?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing pretty good. For those of you who don't know, Rocco is one of our Thrill Maxx admin. He also represents FYE coasters, and so I'm sure a lot of you guys know Rocco. This is going to be a fun show. This all started, just so you guys know, because when me and Rocco go to parks and things like that, very often we're debating, different coasters. And our first matchup tonight is actually where this all started, because we've gotten into some pretty fierce debates about this one. So, guys, without further ado, our first coaster matchup tonight is going to be the Voyage versus the Beast. I am going to take the side of the Voyage. Rocco, you're going to take the side of the Beast.
Yep, taking the Beast. Boom.
Right. And so because of that, I'm going to let you kick this off because we disagree a lot on this topic. So why don't you kick this off? You're on the side of the Beast. Why don't you go ahead and present your opening argument to everybody about why you think the Beast is better than the Voyage?
All right. So first of all, Beast is my number one wooden coaster in the world. My second is the Voyage. I mean, so it's a close first, but I do believe that the Beast is it's a better ride in general once I make the argument and everything. But I'm obviously a huge fan of the Beast. I was there on its 140th opening, got my shirt. I love the Beast. So here's why I think the Beast is a better ride than the Voyage. First of all, what you have to understand about the Beast is that this was kind of like someone had the idea of building a roller coaster, and they had enough money and they had enough resources, and they built it. Okay, like this wasn't a big, huge company that made it. It wasn't made by well, GCI didn't exist then, but it wasn't made by any big coaster making corporation that was famous at the time. So it's kind of like this. I think El Toro Ryan says it really good in his video. It's a backyard coaster that had the money and budget to be built. And what I like about the Beast is that it takes you on an adventure. Okay, Voyage does too, but for me, this adventure of the Beast, you're coming from inside Kings Island. You get on this train. It was right next to Vortex, so you had the sound of Vortex right next to it. And then right when you get off that first hill, you go into this tunnel. It takes a left turn, and then you're off into the woods, and the park is nowhere to be seen. I mean, it's just gone. And for people who've never been on it, I remember my first time on it. I couldn't believe how long it was. I couldn't believe how low and terrain it was. How low to the ground and how much it followed that terrain. How much it used a lot of that terrain. So when you look at the Voyage does a lot of similar things as the Beast, and that's why they're my two favorite wooden coasters, because they're very similar in the sense they take you on that adventure way out into the woods, away from the park, and then brings you back into that reality. What it comes down to for me is the rideability of it. I like a ride that I can sit down in it, and if I wanted to, if it was a dead day at the park, I could just sit there for a whole hour on that. You just go on it over and over again. Voyage, I could probably do 3, maybe 4 times in a row, and then I need a break from it because it's so intense and it's so fast and it gives you so many elements which are great, which are really awesome elements. And you're in PTC trains, and it makes them do things that I can't believe that it makes those trains do, but it gets to the point of where it kind of hurts after a while, especially the unrefurbished parts of it. Now, maybe this year, after it opens up and they have a big refurbishment, I might have a different attitude toward it. But my first time was with you in last June, and it blew my mind. I mean, you heard me in that video. I got emotional on it because it was just such a dream come true to finally ride that ride. But when we did those night marathons where we rode it like 3 or 4 times in a row, man, I was kind of done with it after those 3 or 4 times, just because it doesn't let up, it doesn't stop. It's the steel vengeance of wooden coasters. I feel where it's never stops. It never lets up. What I like about the Beast is that, and the Voyage keeps its speed pretty much through the whole thing. What I like about the Beast is that you have the speed throughout the whole thing, but it gives you. I'm the type of person that airtime hills and airtime does not a coaster make, in my opinion. It's not just about the airtime. Like, it's a huge part of what a coaster is, but it's also taking you on a journey through wherever, and the Beast has these really great moments, even the straight pieces of track where it's just long straight sections, and then you do slight curves and you go in a different direction. You're still going in a straight direction. When you're out there and it's a clear night and everything's just lit by the moon, and you have those trees passing by you, man, it's so fun. You feel like you're in a movie. You feel like you can really use your imagination on that ride, I feel. And it takes you and it really, I don't know, I like that it's not this hugely intense coaster that you can enjoy, and then it has big surprises after that second hill. I think the second hill is the best part. The second half of the ride is the best part of the ride, and it's because it has that low incline, that low, that very shallow drop, but it's so long and it picks up so much speed, and then you go into this like little tiny, like, looks like a rabbit hole of a tunnel, and you go right into that helix. I mean, it's amazing. It's incredible.
But okay, and I hear you about all that. I hear it. But just about everything that you just said, almost everything you just said, if we didn't have the words Voyage and Beast up here, you could have been talking about the Voyage.
Oh no, yeah, I agree.
Like the first thing is this. So here's where we differ on this, because now I do want to give a disclaimer. I've only ridden the Beast twice. I went to Kings Island for the first time this past hunt, and I got a day ride, and I got a night ride, both with Rocco. And for me, the other part of the disclaimer, I guess, is I was sick. I was not feeling very well. I was running a fever. I was taking Dayquil all day just to get through the day. So I wasn't in the best of moods. Okay. And it was raining the entire day on us, and it was cold at night. So I just want to preface that with that caveat, because when I went on Voyage, it was totally night and day, because it was over 100 degrees. I was perfectly fine. I wasn't, I was feeling just perfect. And so, and I also got more rides on Voyage than I've gotten on Beast. However, where we differ is that you had built up, when we got off Voyage, you started talking about the Beast. And So you already started hyping it up, and the community hypes this coaster up so much.
But there's a lot of the community that gives it a lot of crap, though.
Okay, yes, and I'm part of that community because I went into this thinking it doesn't look very forceful, but there's got to be something more to this ride, and I was so excited to ride this Legend. And I got to tell you, when I say it way missed the mark on my expectations, my expectations weren't super high to begin with. It was, middle of the pack. Okay. I was more excited to ride Voyage. And then I get off of this in the daytime and I literally was like, what did I just waste my time on for the last few minutes? There was nothing. Where I wanted airtime, there was no airtime. Where I wanted big drops, there was no big drops. Where I wanted some cool laterals, there was no laterals. And I was like, okay, what redeeming qualities does this coaster have? Then I said, it's got to be the night ride. Everybody talks about this night ride. It has to be the night ride on it. So the nighttime comes, we get on it, and you're like, oh my God, we're going to go like fly through the woods. It's going to be so cool. And just wait till you fly through the woods. And we went on it. And again, total lackluster experience. I'm on the ride going, okay, I can't really see the cool things like the tunnel and things like that. You can't see how small that tunnel looks at night because you can't see the tunnel. Okay, you just all of a sudden you can hear noise that's more confined. And you're like, oh, I must be in a tunnel. And I got off of it going, this was nothing. Now compare this to the Voyage. First of all, the Voyage, it's not as long, but
it's only like 1,000 feet shorter.
Yes, but it does have a better first drop. I think it's steeper. I don't have the exact statistics in front of me, but it just feels that way. It feels much bigger, much steeper, much more crazy. I get on the Voyage for the first time in the daytime. In the morning, we ran straight for Voyage, and so it wasn't as warmed up as it was later in the day. And it blew my expectations. It was like they took the first part of what a hyper coaster would be, with all those hills and stuff, and then they just threw in the most insane, crazy twists and turns and compact twister layout in the back. And it every turn we took back there, okay, after you get through the big hills, once you're on the back part up on top of the hill where everything looks like you're close, low to the ground, we're going through that whole spaghetti bowl section, and every turn is like, whoa, I couldn't believe it, was blowing my mind. And then we get to the mid-course, and you're like 5 feet off the ground, it feels like. And you're like, how am I going to get back to the station? And all of a sudden, bam, you hit that triple down. And I remember, I had watched POVs, but for some reason, the triple down didn't stick out to me. Like, I just saw it go down into a tunnel, and it didn't, like, register, oh, that's a triple down. So when we hit the third part of the triple down, I was like, whoa, I wasn't ready for a third pop. The airtime, I was like, oh my God, I'm getting those air times. I'm getting that lateral, and I'm getting a Voyage. I'm getting over 6,000 feet of track. It just seemed like, when is it going to end? But it was so smooth. It was so incredibly intense, but because of the smoothness, I felt like you could re-ride that all day. We differ in this. I feel like you could ride that as
smooth. I think there's parts that are smooth, and then there's parts that were like, ugh, this hurts.
See, I got that more on Legend. Legend beat me to a pulp. Yeah, I swear. I will probably, if I ride Legend, for me is like, you show up to Holiday World, you go on Legend one time, and then I'm done for it. And I definitely don't want to do it at night. Compare that with Voyage, and maybe the reason I think that is because I'm thinking of all the other coasters at the other couple of coasters that Holiday World has.
Compared to the other two, yes, it is smoother. It's the smoothest one of all three of the wooden coasters.
And then we get the night rides.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on Beast, I'm going, are we going to pick up? Are you going to give me anything here? Like, or is it going to register? Voyage, we get on this night ride, and I did the old PCT train trick, okay, where you don't necessarily staple yourself. I'll leave it there, okay. You leave a little room in your seatbelt. You leave a little room in your lap bar. We go out into the woods, okay. We drop. I know we have a couple of big hills. I'm ready for those. Once we get to the spaghetti bowl section, I didn't know where we were. I didn't know. I was in the very back row, and I could see the silhouettes of the people in front of me, and I could see the silhouettes of the people in front of them, and then I couldn't see anything else. And here we are flying through the woods. Okay, in my opinion, the way you should be flying through the woods. When people say, "Oh, you're flying through the woods on the Beast," no, you're flying through the woods on Voyage. And it's the only coaster to this day. 265 credits under my belt. I know it's not a lot to some, but still, 265 credits. I've only done this one time on a coaster. It was on the Voyage, back row at night. We hit the mid-course brake runs, and I was legitimately scared for my life that this thing was going to throw me, eject me out of this coaster, that I slammed the lap bar down, grabbed the seatbelt, and yanked it as hard as I could on those mid courses because I was so worried. Oh my gosh, I might actually come out of this thing. I've never done that on a coaster before. It did it. Beast didn't. So for that reason, to me, I look at them and I say, how Rocco, how can you say the Beast is better? Because it doesn't check any of those boxes off.
And I like that it doesn't check those boxes off. I like that it's a ride that, like I said, like I can't marathon. I would not ride the Voyage for a whole hour straight. I could do that with the Beast, hands down. I could do that with the Beast. But the Voyage, like if I'm like sometimes if I'm at a park and it's like a dead day, especially even like at like Six Flags or something, you know, if it's like a dead day, I'll sit on a ride for like a good 45 minutes if there's no line.
That's because the Beast doesn't do anything. Of course you could marathon it all day.
Right, but that's what I like about it. And that's what's great about it.
Well, in that case...
And I'm sorry, that second drop, that is one of the most intense parts of a roller coaster that just blow me away. Every time I'm on it, it never ceases to excite me and thrill me. And
oh my gosh, I've been on log flumes, for crying out loud, that give me more yank down the drops than yes.
About that though, that's what I like about it, because it was built. And
then you're basically riding an antique car that goes fast.
No,
yes.
Okay, first of all, the Beast is only 3 miles less than the Voyage. Okay, it goes the Beast goes 64 miles per hour, and the Voyage goes 67 miles per hour.
Yeah, but you're not doing anything with that. I mean, so a dragster car goes a couple 100 miles an hour, but it only goes straight. It's like...
But that doesn't mean it's not thrilling.
Okay, yes, right, but it's also a dragster car. Look,
it's
in my opinion, you are basically... In my opinion, you're basically riding a glorified kiddie coaster that just goes fast. The feelings, though, I'll say this, and this is not me trying to really take a bad burn at Beast. This is just honest to God. I really think I enjoy my rides on Little Dipper at Six Flags Great America more than I do on the Beast.
That's ridiculous.
Why? Because I know when I get on the Little Dipper, it's not going to be forceful. It's not going to do anything, right? It's going to be kind of tame. And at the same time, I don't have to sit on it for 3 minutes.
You don't like... Okay, so that when you go into that double helix at the end, when you're zooming down it, and all of a sudden you're going straight, and then you take that sharp turn, and it just throws you, and it keeps you there.
Yes. Okay, you're right. Yes, I do have to admit that one part,
that's an incredible part of the ride. And then also the end part of the end section of the first part, where you're going down that natural hill, and then you take that other turn. You take that right turn right away.
I don't even remember that turn. It's forgettable. Everything on that coaster. I couldn't.
On it twice.
Okay, yeah, but
in the rain.
okay, yes, and I was like, yeah, I
Okay,
had like flu-like symptoms that had developed that day. I was hurting, but at the same time, I feel like
but I think you're
that's still excuses. Just because I didn't feel good doesn't mean I didn't feel the coaster. I felt the coaster. It didn't do anything. I thought, oh man, I think that in the same park, I would definitely rather go ride Adventure Express. You know, it's like at least I'm gonna get some cool helixes. I'm gonna get some cool drops. I'm gonna get that. It's like I just especially in that park,
But
it's
it was
like
never okay, but it was never built to be that kind of roller coaster. That's the other thing too that people don't realize is that it was built very cleverly. This was okay, this is the other thing. This is the other thing that I appreciate the Beast for. And that like I don't think you're taking into consideration is the history of it and why it was built and who built it. These were
I
people who
appreciate
never
it.
but what I'm
I
saying, these are
appreciate
people
the
who
history.
never like they've never built a coaster before. They're basically like, we want to build this kind of coaster and we're gonna do it. You know what I mean? And if you look at it, it's first of all, it just celebrated its 40th anniversary. Okay, and you wrote it in its 40th year in its 40th year. So like it's cleverly built. It's never really the only time it's off the ground really is on the two hills. The rest of it, it's real low and it follows that terrain. And what's clever about it is that they built it very smartly. They just followed the terrain of it, you know, which makes it which means that it's easy to maintain. You're able to keep it for a very long time because it doesn't have a lot of sections where there is a lot of force on the track.
Yeah, but the Voyage
what I'm
uses the
saying,
terrain too.
no, but what I'm saying is that with the Voyage is that like it gets rough even when they refurbish it, it gets rough pretty quickly after that. You know, at least like 5 years, you're going to start feeling the wear and tear because of the forces constantly on it.
Sure, it's a much wilder ride. Yeah.
No, and I agree with that, and I think you're also not taking into consideration with me that it is my second on my favorites, and it's a very close second.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not. I agree with everything that you're saying about the Voyage. I think it's one of the most incredible rides in the world. But in terms of like my personal like, if I wanted to write it over and over and over again, I know that eventually, you know, like that night, you know, it was like, ooh, you know, we did 4 of them, and I was like, I don't know if I could do one more of this, you know, just because it is very, very intense. It is very, you know, and there were parts that did really kind of jostle you around a little bit, you know, and that's being said, like on my list of all time favorite coasters, my favorite coaster is I-305, which is, in my opinion, one of the most intense coasters I've ever been on, and I like it. That's why it's my number one, because I like the intensity of it, because I did finally gray out on a roller coaster.
That's interesting. I mean? That's really interesting. You got I-305 as number one, and then you got Beast as 2.
Yeah, so it goes for me. My list goes I-305 and then Beast. You know what I mean? Like those, and then Magnum XL. You know, so there's like all 3 of them are completely different rides from each other. But I like the reason why I love the Beast so much is because it isn't a conventional coaster. It isn't your airtime king. It isn't it was only meant for 2 things: speed and length. Do you know what I mean? They just wanted to build the tallest, fastest, and longest thing at the time.
Well, I'll tell you, if their intention was we want to take everything that people love about roller coasters, okay, and only isolate 2 of those things and discard the rest, it's a triumph.
Okay, hang on. But that's not a fair argument. Because the Voyage didn't even exist, wasn't even a thought at the time. It probably couldn't even been achieved if it was tried to be built at that time. Okay, so like the Beast, was achieving things that weren't being achieved at the time. You know, you also have to look at it. That's why when people compare like Magnum to like a modern B&M Hyper, and like, well, yeah, of course, a modern B&M Hyper is going to be better, but you have to understand if it wasn't for the president of things like Magnum or like the Beast, there wouldn't have been like the Beast. The people who worked on the Beast went off to form like GCI, CCI, all these, you know, the Din Corp. You know, they all worked on this thing. You know, and and arguably they probably made more intense and bigger coasters. You know, more in line of what we expect in roller coasters today. But if they had worked on the Beast and tried to do those things and you know, what's the word? Achieve those feats, you know, then who knows if they would have gone on to do those other things and really open up the coaster community and lead to coasters like the Voyage, because CCI became Gravity Group, right? Or like Gravity Group came out of CCI or something. And that's
something like that. Yeah, because I know CCI, I know GCI came from CCI.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. A lot of their people went over.
Din, maybe it was Din that some people went into, whatever. But
comment down below if you guys know the history of that. Like, comment down below, and let us know how that happened.
But it was like things like the Beast that paved that way to it. You know, even Millennium Force. I mean, you can argue that Millennium Force is the Beast of Giga Coasters. It's not. It's really it's dropping its speed. It doesn't have a lot of time on
it. Leviathan, I would say is the Beast of.
Well, but what I'm saying is like being one of the first to do something like that. I mean, it's a long speed demon with a big drop. You know,
but
there's not a lot, and not to make it about Millennium Force, but I'm saying there's not a lot to Millennium Force. Now, you write something like Fury, yeah, that's a way more intense.
Yeah, but at the same time, look at I get it. Like you're saying, look, they built it in house. Kings Island built this thing, you know, but. Okay, I guess you take into account the time, because it was what, the 70s it came out, right?
79, yeah.
79, right. So I look at other parks that have built their own coasters in-house, right? And I'm going to make a comparison. Yes, it's a steel coaster. Yes, it's a Viper. Absolutely Viper. Because that is just a Coney Island Cyclone. You know, basically they just took a Cyclone layout and they just modified it a little bit. But essentially,
I think it's a mirror image of it or something.
So that right there, okay, that was built in house. That is much more forceful, much better ride. I love the airtime on that. But then I look at, and this is not wooden, this is steel, and I'm gonna deflate that argument before you make it. Yes, it's more modern, but I'm going to bring up Lagoon for a second with Cannibal. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because you're saying, look how innovative it was. You know, the Kings Island built this coaster, and look, at the time it was great. Look at what Lagoon did. I mean, they built a 200-foot, you know, crazy coaster. And I say they did that in-house and said, wait a minute, we're going to actually go extreme. We're going to give them something. We're going to give a destination coaster. And I get that Beast, a lot of people come to ride it, but when you look at what places like that built, even Six Flags Great America Viper, when you look at that, it's like those rides, at least you get off going, whoa, that did something to me out there. And I just don't get that with the Beast.
And I do. I get that with the Beast. I like every time I'm telling you, that second hill going into the Helix, every time I ride it, I mean, I'm fucking applauding. Sorry.
Yeah, but the drop off that second lift is, it's so shallow. It's like, and
what I love about it is that it reminds me of the Whizzer, because when I'm on the Whizzer, even though that drop is so shallow, once I get down to it, I do hold on for like, I'm holding on, because it's you go into that turn and you're like, You know what's coming. And what I like about it is that what's cool, it's what I like about the second hill is that it gives the beast a character. It feels like you're prowling. It feels like you're honing in on your hunt, and then you're picking up speed, and boom, you attack. You know.
Well, where's the attack?
Right into that turn, right into that helix.
Yes, at the bottom of that drop.
Yeah,
that's the one place that I was like, oh, okay. The positive G's are pushing me down in my seat.
It is so cool.
Yeah, okay, but you could erase the rest of the ride and put just that, and I'd say it's a better ride.
You're not even going straight down. As you start going down and picking up speed, you start turning.
And then you're just awkwardly, you're just like, okay, are we like, I would argue that the Whizzer is a better ride than the Beast. Okay?
No.
I would argue that for me, it boils down to, and again, it's different. By the way, guys, for those of you watching, there's no right or wrong answer here, right? It's whatever your preference is.
It is, yeah.
It's whatever you like. There is no wrong answer. I'm just saying, for me, what I like, my number one is Maverick. I like those crazy, out of control rides like that. I like to be thrown around. I like when we went to Dollywood, getting on Lightning Rod and just getting thrown on that quad, and then Intense. Those are my top. Wonder Woman, Golden Lasso coaster.
Oh yeah,
those are in my top 10 coasters.
What I'm saying, Steve, is that also with me, I have those intense coasters too. I have i305. Sorry, that was my phone. Hang on, let me let me turn off.
And just so you know, guys, this is live. We're not cutting that. Okay, this is in the video. Just so you guys know, unexpected things happen when we're social distancing and we're recording these shows at home, and that's it, guys.
That's it.
That was almost like your fan, that was almost like a fan of the Beast chiming in, like, oh yes, the Beast. It's awesome.
Look, I've been in isolation too long. I needed to change my ringtone and notifications to entertain me every once in a while. That's funny. That's my voice, by the way.
which, by the way, you will never hear anything like that on the Beast because it's not exciting.
Oh, whatever. Well, okay, what I was saying is that, I think you're it's not that I don't like the intensity, and that's not why, but that's precisely why I like the Beast, is because I have so many, like I told you, my number one coaster is i305, and then my second is the Beast. They couldn't be, in terms of intensity, they couldn't be more opposite of each other.
But you also, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you also like Superman at Six Flags America over Superman at Darien Lake?
No. I like Superman Darien Lake, Ride of Steel at Darien Lake more than Superman New England at New England. But there's two reasons why.
Darien Lake, that's right. I'm sorry, not America. That's right, Darien Lake. And you like that, and that's an unpopular opinion too, because it's just those straightaways with nothing there.
One of my favorite parts, because I like a ride that occasionally just gives me just straight and speed. And I'm open, and it's almost like I'm on a motorcycle. You know what I mean? I'm not close inside of a capsule like a train or anything. I'm outside. There's nothing over me. What's cool about Darien Lake is that straight part of section is over water. So you're going over this thing, and it's nice to kind of just ride on a ride that wasn't built to be an intense airtime, what and I use this word with respect and not in a negative way at all, but cliche elements that you would expect on an intense roller coaster like that. And
no, how you don't expect on a wooden coaster to get over 90-degree bank turns. You don't expect
you expect airtime.
coaster.
You expect things like that. Do you know what I mean?
I don't. I didn't. When I got, I mean, I knew because of POVs,
But most roller coasters have that. Look at any racer coaster. Look at any,
they don't
wooden
have.
coaster.
No, what racer coasters got those crazy bank turns and those crazy?
But
You don't expect that.
what I'm saying on the Voyage is that it combines. You have different elements of coasters on there. You have a spaghetti bowl section that like feels like a cyclone type wooden coaster. You have the back. You have the intensity of like that GCI feel, like a Mystic Timber. So it has all these elements on things. It's unique because it's its own layout, and it does But those are things when I go on any roller coaster. That's what I think of a roller coaster entails. What I like is the roller coasters that don't give me that, and they're like, oh, we just want to take you on a fun ride. We want to take you, through things. We want to take you on this adventure.
Okay, but at the same time, okay, yes, I hear you on that. However, right, you know what I don't expect when I get on a roller coaster? To be that bored on a legendary coaster. When I get on something that has books written about it, I mean, I think it was R.L. Stein, right? Had the Beast, or was that someone else that wrote that? I think it was R.L. Stein.
It was R.L. Stein. Yeah,
it was R.L. Stein, and he like wrote a whole. And I read that as a kid, and I was already into coasters, so I thought it was super cool that they wrote that about that. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, it started building that folklore in my head that you are going to get on this ride. And so that was really hyped up, and the Voyage was really hyped up. And for me, the Voyage delivered. For me, the Voyage was like, it met my it exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
So when I look at which one's better for me, one of the coasters exceeded expectations. One of the coasters came in under my expectations. So for me, I'm gonna have to say the Voyage. I will say to everyone, guys, we had planned to do 3 different matchups tonight. And so this one's already going on almost 40 minutes. So I think we're going to keep it at just Voyage and Beast. But before we wrap up, Rocco, final thoughts, final points you want to make. Go ahead and go for the Beast.
All right, here you go. The Beast. All right, here's the thing. And I'm not even going to make an argument just for the Beast. The Beast is my favorite because of its history, because of what it took to build it, and what someone who had never built something like this before was like, I want to challenge myself and build something, and it stood the test of time. It's still there. I mean, it's outlived things like the Vortex, Firehawk, Son of Beast. Okay, so it has stood the test of time, and not that I'm saying Voyage won't stand the test of time. Look, Voyage is my second favorite wooden coaster, and it's a very, very, very close second. I will admit that. I think it's one of the best rides in the world. And if it's your favorite, it is totally justifiable that it's your favorite. I will say, though, it's totally justifiable that Beast could be your favorite because of because of the precedent that it started. Now I'm not going to get into this, but I mean, like, the same reason that Magnum is my favorite hypercoaster. It's because it made a statement. It said, it was a park saying, we want to build this thing that will challenge people to do better. And they did, and the Beast really delivered that. And you have people coming from around the world, around this country, to ride and experience this ride. And whether they like it or not, they still made the journey to come and ride it. And like, that's why I love it. And same thing with Voyage. I mean, I'm not saying that Voyage isn't that world-class coaster that everyone wants to ride. I like the Beast because of it's not your intense demon of a ride. It gives you the unexpected, and while still giving you a thrill, in my opinion. So that's my
Okay. And well articulated points there for sure. Um, for me, it's totally opposite. I look at this and I say, what do I look for in a coaster? Um, I would say this: if you're gonna go into the Beast, don't set your expectations too high. Don't do what I did. I really set them like I thought it was going to be on the level of a Voyage when I went into this. Don't think that, because if you do, you're probably going to jump on my side of things and say that really under delivered. Go into it not expecting much, because in my opinion it doesn't do much. So go into this um, with a much lower expectation of what it's going to deliver. Don't think it's going to be like an El Toro or something, because it's not. For me, it's forgettable. It's just a bunch of straightaways and turns that don't give you any laterals, and drops that don't give you any airtime, and for me, I much prefer to have that wild, out of control feeling. I like I said, my favorite wood coaster and my favorite night rides are both the Voyage. Even beating out rides like what was it? Lightning Rod and American Thunder, and really awesome coasters that I've been on, Mystic Timbers and stuff. I still love the Voyage. But it's clear, guys, that me and Rocco aren't going to change each other's mind. Okay, Rocco holds the Beast in high esteem.
Look at like I'm like
Exactly. And so so now it falls on you guys. We want to hear what you think. Who do you side with? Have you been on these two rides? If you have, which one do you like better and why? Comment down below, and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Rocco, I'm so excited that we did this. If you guys like this series, let us know too, because we at least have two more coming to you, because we had two more matchups on this show scheduled. I'll give you a preview, right? We were going to do Top Thrill Dragster versus Max Force. We were going to do Raptor versus Great Bear. So those are going to be episodes we record.
Okay.
And also comment down below, what matchups do you guys want us to do? Because I'm sure that we would have more disagreements, and we could have more content and stuff. So you guys create this. This is your guys' channel. You guys let us know what you want. Until next time, this has been Mid-Course Debate. Rocco and Steven from Thrill Maxx signing off. You guys have a great night.